Hello, everybody. I have a question I would like to pose to everybody. If anybody has an answer, or would like to attempt to answer the question, please feel free to leave your answer in the comment section or email me at reverendrred@gmail.com. reverendrred@gmail.com with your answer. My question is, what has happened to all of the Watchmen? What has happened to all the Watchmen? All throughout time, there have been individuals, pastors, theologians, as well as everyday, average Christians that have proclaimed themselves to be watchmen, or watchmen on the wall, warning everybody of what's coming, how close it is, how far away it is, after one attack happens, when the next one's coming, and approximately from what direction. I mean, we're never short of watching on the wall. But I've noticed a trend happening. I follow a good many other pastors and theologians and self-proclaimed watchmen. I'm subscribed to a good many of them on YouTube. I follow quite a few on Twitter. I have several people that have personal websites that do a blog that I have bookmarked and I visit. But I've been noticing a really weird trend within the past, say, 6 months to a year. And the earliest one that I found so far goes back about a year. And there's a whole bunch at the 6-month mark, 6 months ago. And then there's a few more that go back as far as 3 months. And I want to know what happened to them. It seems to be something happened within the past year. Okay, that apparently has the watchman, or alleged watchman, running for the hills, so to speak. Now, why do I say this? What am I getting out? Year, 6 months, 3 months? I started noticing that a lot of my usual tweets I'm looking at on Twitter aren't there. The span it isn't as long as it usually is at any given time. And I've gotten pretty used to what time of day, what day of the week it is, roughly how many tweets I'm going to have to look at before I get to the top of the timeline, and then I got to reset it or reload it, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with YouTube. Everybody I'm subscribed to, I know, depending on what day of the week it is, when I get around to watching videos, I know roughly how much videos are going to be there. And I pick and choose which ones I'm going to watch. I don't watch all of them. Too many. And then I'll also check out anybody's personal website that has a personal blog or blog on their own website that's not on social media, not on YouTube. About a year ago, it started shrinking. I didn't really notice anything too bad. Still, and then it happened again about 6 months ago. Only it was a little bit bigger. Then for the past several weeks, it's just not making any sense because my Twitter feed, the timeline, it just wasn't as long as it's supposed to be. My daily YouTube videos there's not that many videos that are usually there. So I started looking into it. I went down through all my YouTube subscribers that I'm subscribed to, started checking the dates of when they last posted videos, started checking the Twitter accounts of people's tweets that I would usually pay attention to. Started going down to people's personal websites that I haven't really had time to look at in a while. Started checking them out. And it seems to me that a lot of people that claim to be Watchmen, that did have really good content, I mean, these people were on the ball. They knew what they were talking about. A lot of them I would actually use as sources for a lot of the information and a lot of the articles that I've been putting up on my personal website and on my ministry's website. So anything that I have up there that has links to sources, some of those sources are these individuals. Some of them are more mainstream sources, or, you know, just people that I found in a Google search, whatever, that was relevant. But some of them are these individuals. I mean, they knew what they were talking about. All of a sudden, they're gone. My question is why? What's happening to them? Where are they going? A theory that I have is that these individuals noticed that everything that they were wanting, it's happening. Then they started noticing, well, okay, we're right, but now everything's getting closer together. It's speeding up. Things are happening faster. And they got scared. And they just left. They just stopped. Now, I'm sorry, but if you want to call yourself a watchman, if you want to consider yourself to be a Christian, especially if you're a pastor, I don't care how bad things get. It is our job to watch out for our people and to warn our people of what's coming and to protect our people from what's coming. To prepare them for what's coming. Help them get through what's coming. That's our job. Okay? Especially if you're a pastor. But if you're a regular old Christian that is going to proclaim yourself to be a watchman, and you feel that you can connect certain dots and see things people aren't seeing, and you're going to take on the role of a watchman on the wall, you can't decide all of a sudden, well, this is getting a little close to home now. They're almost here. They're just about at the wall. Bye. No, that's not how it works. You see, if you want to be a watchman on the wall, you got to stay on that wall. The closer they get, the louder you got to yell. The closer they get, the more you got to scream down everybody down below of what's coming, so everybody that's down below can prepare for what's coming. Reinforce the wall. Reinforce our little civilization. Let's say that the attacks can't come through the wall, or potentially over the wall. Once they start knocking through the wall, or knocking down the wall, climbing over the wall, you then have to hop on the offensive and help protect that civilization that's usually just warning about how close these attacks are getting. That's your job. That's what you signed up to do. That's what you feel, or at least felt, that you were called to do. So that is what you need to do. It doesn't matter how bad things get, how serious things are getting, how fast things are starting to move. We can't give up our posts. If you are a pastor, especially if you are a pastor, it is your job to look out for your flock. See, all of us have to answer when Christ returns. All of us are responsible for the actions that we're taking right now. What do you think Jesus is going to say to you when he brings up your record of doing a relatively good job and warning everybody of what's coming, what attacks they're now utilizing, methods of attack they're now going to utilize because we defeated their last method of attack. But once it got within a certain proximity of the wall, you fled your post. And just asks you, well, why'd you leave the post? How am I supposed to feel about that? What are you going to say to him? How are you going to respond? How are you going to justify you leaving your post? How are you going to justify saving yourself or trying to save yourself in the flesh so that you feel safe, or you can believe you feel safe, which is only now not only affecting you in the spiritual, but you're also now leaving open that entire section there that you were warning open to attack, because now there's no defense. Now they're all left blind, wondering, well, what's going on? How are they trying to attack us now? How close are they? Did they retreat? Are they right on us? How are you going to respond? I would love to know. I mean, granted, most people out there probably wouldn't even realize that there's people leaving their posts as watchmen, because there's so many people out there trying to warn you of what's coming, and are using concrete evidence between current events and lining up with prophecy to show you that, look, this is where we're at, this is what's coming next, this is how close it is. Well, look at this over here, see? There's so many people doing that, myself included, that a lot of you people out there probably don't even realize this. I mean, unless you're totally divulged, where any free moment you have is encompassed in taking information from as many different watchmen as possible, from as many different pastors of all different denominations as you possibly can squeeze into your time. Then maybe you would notice it. But it took me a while to notice it. I mean, when you're talking about people that started leaving their posts well over a year ago and hasn't posted anything since then there's another whole bunch of them that 6 months ago just stopped posting. I mean, not one post, not one warning, not anything, not one word out of their websites, their social media account, nothing, for 6 months. And then another batch 3 months ago. Not a word in 3 months from anyone. I mean, it took me a little while to catch on to what was going on, where I had to go and look into it. So it would surprise me if a lot of you don't realize this, or haven't realized this. I mean, as it is, there's a lot of you out there that don't really realize a lot of things. Although everybody's so caught up in their day-to-day lives, they're soaking up mainstream news media and taking that as fact. Because, well, why would the mainstream news media lie to us? Why would the government lie to us? So, and you look at a lot of people like myself that is nothing but conspiracy theorists. Okay, fine. So be it. Or you only pay attention to the mainstream version of your denomination. So anybody, even if they're in your denomination, but they don't quite teach what your pastor teaches, must be wrong. You can't listen to them. Nope. So it really wouldn't surprise me if a lot of you haven't noticed that. If any of you have noticed it, do you see any particular trend that I might be missing? Do you have a possible explanation of why, other than the fact that they're, running to try to save themselves, apparently things are getting too hot for them to handle. Other than that, obvious, or it seems to be an obvious explanation. What explanation do you have for it? Why do you feel all these people, or these individuals that have proclaimed themselves as watchmen suddenly left their posts? Especially when they were doing a damn good job. I mean, a lot of what they were putting out there, whether it was in video format, article format, or whatever. You know, a few of them used to do radio broadcasts that no longer do that. It was pretty much dead on. I mean, a lot of them did have a lot of things that I didn't agree with or don't agree with. Some of them had a few statements, a few predictions that didn't pan out. But for the most part, they were pretty, you know, head on. So, why would they suddenly leave? I mean, not to sound conceited or anything, but as I've said in prior videos, and I believe I also said it on the broadcast, Red Revelations, a couple of times, there's a lot of individuals that know me personally that have told me that every single thing that I've stated to them personally over the radio program, as well as in my videos and in my articles, everything that I said was going to happen happened. The only thing that I ever got wrong was the time frame. Sometimes the events happened when I said they were going to happen. Sometimes it happened before. Sometimes it happened after. But every single event happened. So going by my track record and going by what I can see, yes, things are moving faster. Things are admittedly getting a little scary. But that's not necessarily making me want to stop what I'm doing. I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing what's coming, okay, and not trying to do everything that I can to warn everybody. I mean, if it turns out that all my time was spent for naught, then so be it. But at least I can say that I tried. This is what I believe. This is what I live for. Spreading the truth. Promoting freedom, spiritual and physical. Jesus Christ's message is that of truth and freedom. You free your spirit, you have ultimate physical freedom. It just resonates with everything in the physical world. So, and then there's always just the small fact that I did state in numerous videos, as well as on a couple of my radio broadcasts, that I will die standing long before I ever live on my knees. I will not live as a slave. I will die defending Christ and freedom. The worse things get, all that tells me is I gotta try that much harder to get the message out to the people and get the message to spread. It tells me that I gotta speak that much louder. I gotta do everything in my power and then some to awaken the people to what's coming. It doesn't tell me, well, shit, times are on. No, that's not what it's about. We're in this together. We're supposed to be a family. You can't say that you're looking out for your family, and now that the murderers are bashing down your front door, you're going to say sayonara to your family and run out the back door. No, you're going to stand there and you're going to defend your family at whatever cost against those murderers. The same applies to this. We are all a family. you can't leave your post because you're getting a little scared. That if you're getting scared, that's when when it's time to take a break, a little break, and pray to Jesus. Ask Him to remove your fears, calm you down, and give you strength, and then get back to your post. My question is, where are all the watchmen going? What is happening to them? Or do they figure, well, because now the attack is right on the wall or a few yards away, well, their job's over. And now it's up to the defense forces. Well, if that's what they're thinking, I hate to tell them, but the watchmen are part of the defense forces. They are a key role in the defense of this kingdom. It doesn't matter how far away the enemy is or how close the enemy is. You still have a job to do if you want to take on the position, take on the role of being a watchman. You feel that that is the position that Christ calls you to take on. That is the position you are going to be expected to take on. Period. I'm going to suggest, now I could be wrong, at least about the majority of them that left that I'm aware of, but there's a small few that I might be right about. I'm going to suggest that they were more or less in it for the money. Up until recently, prophecy was a huge moneymaker. People were making fortunes off of their predictions. People were all into it. Now, Christianity is on a decline. I mean, let's be real here. Statistics show that Christianity overall en masse as a whole is on the decline in America. Yes, there are some upticks here and there, but looking at the statistics, Christianity today is a lot smaller than it was just a few years ago. Granted, we are beginning to see an uptick, which is good, but it's still smaller than it was a few years ago. Well, if you're in it for the money, and you're realizing the majority of your base that was buying all your books and your DVDs and your branded products and whatever other services or supplies, whatever you had your name on, that you're making money off of. If your base that was buying that from you is now leaving for whatever reason they have, one reason could be the small fact that, well, the economy just isn't the greatest. People just don't have the money anymore. But there's also a large chunk of people that left the church. They've left Christianity. Well, if you're not buying your products no more, well, why stick around? Bye. I'm sure at least a small percentage of the watchmen that are leaving their posts, that's the reason why. Which only tells me that they were only in it for the money, they were in it for the greed, nothing else, nothing more. They were never called for the position. And they're probably the ones that made predictions based on false information, and their prediction has never panned out. And the event, not just the timeline, but the event itself never happened. The others, the vast majority of them, I'm going to say are just getting scared. That's my personal opinion. They're getting scared. These things are speeding up. Things are happening at a faster rate. Things are getting real serious. And when you're looking at things, when this is your life, when you're actually living in the Christian world. You're not just wearing it on your sleeve, you're actually living it. It's more than just going to church. Every day, all day, you are a Christian. You're seeing things in the Christian world that non-Christians and your Sunday Christians are not going to see. Like the fact that it's becoming illegal to be a Christian. You wear your cross at work, you lose your job. You talk traditional values at work, you lose your job. You can't have that. You follow Christianity, so therefore you think homosexuality is a sin. I'm sorry, but I can't hire you. Or you start talking about some things to your family, to your friends. You bring up, your hardcore traditional values, and then all of a sudden they don't talk to you no more. So you're just going to avoid all that and just not talk about your beliefs. I mean, right down to what I said in an earlier video about now there's a city that's trying to make it nearly impossible for Christians to take a seat in local office. Pastors are getting arrested for simply praying. So I'm going to say the vast majority of them are getting scared. Of course, I don't feel that's the reason to leave. They still have a job to do. That's what I think. Any of you out there that are noticing this trend, why do you feel that all these watchmen, all of a sudden, within the past year, are leaving their posts, just hanging it up? Leave me your answer in the comment section, and if I have to, I'll do a follow-up video with a few of the comments that I'm getting. Well, the comments that make sense anyway. But I would like your input. Why do you feel, considering everything that's going on, other than whatever I've already stated, that these watchmen are leaving their posts? Do you think that they belong to the crowd that's giving up on Christ and leaving Christianity altogether? Do you think they're trying to save themselves? Do you think they were threatened? I mean, there's a whole wide array of reasons why they could have left. I give you my opinion. Now please leave me yours. Why do you feel within the past year so many watchmen, especially those that were dead on with what they were saying, are suddenly leaving? Not to be heard of. Not on their websites, not on social media, nor to be found. They vanished into thin air. They're just gone. What do you think happened to them? I mean, I'm sure they're out there still working their day jobs, but they're not sending out any more information. They're not sending out any more warnings. They're not sending out any more clues to what might be coming on. Everything came to a stop. I mean, a few of them are actually going as far as making whole new social media accounts under different names to make it hard for people to find them. Why do you feel they're doing this? Why do you feel they're leaving their post? I'm really interested to have your input on this because I think it's kind of strange. I mean, if you honestly feel you were called to ministry, whether it's as a preacher, as a watchman, whatever you feel your specific calling was, why in the times that you are needed the most would you leave? Thanks you all for watching. please leave me your answers in the comment section, and after the video's been up a good while and I got a few comments coming in, I'll do a follow-up video on this and tell everybody some of the comments. And if I find anything else out, I'm going to look into it for a little while. If I find anything else out, if I can find out what the majority reason is, if I can hopefully get in touch with a few of these people, then I'll tell you all what's going on as soon as I find out. If you know what's going on, then by all means just let me know. I'm going to specify that you know what it is and how you know what it is, as opposed to just speculation. I'm gonna try to do what I can to contact some of them and see what I can find out. When I do, I'll do some follow-up videos on this topic. I'm just really dumbfounded as to, right now, the Watchmen are needed the most, and yet so many are disappearing. Their websites and their social media accounts are just sitting there collecting cyber dust. I don't know how to trace books or anything, so I don't know if their books are still selling or not. But it's like they just literally shut down, up and left. Sayonara. Meanwhile, we are needed the most right now. And maybe all of them run for the money. I don't know. As I said, right now, obviously Christianity isn't a popular thing. It's not popular to be a Christian nowadays. And so people that do follow the faith, the vast majority of them aren't going to be open about it. And they're certainly not going to waste money on Christian type products, which I really think is sick. In my personal opinion, Christians like that are Christian in name only. They're wearing on their sleeves. They're looking at it more like a country club than a lifestyle. And that's what it is, a lifestyle. It's not just a Sunday thing. But I don't know. I'm just so disgusted. I don't want to keep on rambling on. So leave me your comments why you feel the Watchmen are all leaving their posts. And as I said, I'll take some of the better comments and do a follow-up video based on that. If I can find out what's actually going on, I will let everybody know in a follow-up video. I'll do my best to find out. That's all I can say. You heard my opinion on the matter. I'd like to hear yours. Leave me your comments. Thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next video. God bless.